Techniques on how to develop mindfulness and clear consciousness. According to Buddhism, we have body and mind. We can act through body, speech, and mind due to the power of the mind. Mind instructs body to act through body, speech, and mind. Our body action will be wholesome or unwholesome due to the mind who gives instructions. The external actions, both bodily and verbal, are wholesome because our mind is a mind with wisdom. Our mind is so because we have perfect mindfulness and consciousness in our mind. The actions through body and speech are thus wholesome. They are the actions by the person with mindfulness and clear consciousness. On the contrary, if the actions through body and speech are unwholesome, then they are actions by a person without mindfulness and clear consciousness. They are the actions by the fools who do not have wisdom because they have no mindfulness and consciousness according to Buddhism. In this connection, if we mention about mindfulness and consciousness, it means something of virtue of wholesomeness only. If it lacks of mindfulness and consciousness, it means something of vice, of unwholesomeness. All aforementioned is the reason why we have to train mind to be perfectly mindful and conscious. Another reason is that according to Buddhist teachings, mind of people in general is mind with derangements, mind that sees things wrongly from what they actually are. We have wrong view and misunderstand that our body is permanent, beautiful, happy, and of personal entity. In fact, our body is opposite of what is mentioned. Mind of people in general is occupied by defilements. We then are under the might of defilements. And that is why our mind is the mind with derangements. We have derangements because we lack mindfulness and consciousness. Without mindfulness and consciousness, we cannot realize the truth of body according to Buddhism. We then misunderstand that life is happy, not suffering, beautiful, not ugly, of personal entity, even if it is non-self. This is why we have to practice the teachings to train mind, so that the mind, which is under the power of defilements, can become mindful and conscious, and know thoroughly the truth according to the truth of life. Mind is very important to us, as it is mentioned before, so training mind to be mindful and conscious is most beneficial for us because the arrangements can be eliminated. There are two means to train mind to develop mindfulness and consciousness as follows. To study in Buddhism, to listen to the teachings, to reflect the teachings. 2. To practice to develop mind by concentration meditation and insight meditation. To study in Buddhism, to listen to the teachings, to reflect the teachings. First of all, we have to understand clearly mindfulness and consciousness, sati and sampajana. Sati means mindfulness, attentiveness, and remembrance. Sampajana means clear consciousness, full awareness, not to be absent-minded. Sati and sampajana are always used together. Mindfulness and consciousness are intangible in mind. They will be perfect and qualified if we train our mind to be always mindful and conscious. Understanding the meaning of mindfulness and consciousness well enough, we have to go on to training the mind to think of virtue, wholesome deeds according to Buddhism. We must be always conscious of what we are doing. Let us develop consciousness, sampajana, where to understand their meanings well and keep on practicing according to their meanings, either when we are listening to the teachings or reflecting the teachings. We can practice by preserving and studying the Buddhist teachings and reflecting them to understand them clearly. This is a means to train mind to be more mindful and conscious in Buddhism. The teachings that we should reflect thoroughly by ourselves, the Four Noble Truths, so the mind can cultivate wisdom to realize and accept the truth that birth, old age, illness, and death of our body are suffering, and it is true according to the Buddhist teachings. This is to exercise analytical reflection, develop righteous mindfulness and wisdom according to the teachings of Buddha. We exercise analytical reflection, Yoniso manasikara, to reflect the teachings so that the mind can develop mindfulness and consciousness. Accept the truth of how life is in reality. It is suffering. And also identify wholesomeness and unwholesomeness, virtue and vice according to the Buddhist teachings. By doing so, we can develop true faith in the Buddhist teachings, teaching that if we perform good deeds, we will obtain good results. Bad deeds, bad results. We reap what we have sown. This is one means to cultivate mindfulness and consciousness, which is by studying the Buddhist teachings, either by listening to the Buddhist teachings or reflecting them so that we develop wisdom to be able to identify virtue, vice, wholesomeness, unwholesomeness, goodness, badness, and the truth of life. To practice to develop mind by concentration meditation, insight meditation. According to Buddhism, the best and the most correct way to practice to develop mind for perfect mindfulness and consciousness, which will be most beneficial for us, is by concentration meditation and insight meditation. Therefore, there are two ways to practice our mind to develop mindfulness and consciousness. 1. Train to be mindful and conscious by concentration meditation. Concentration meditation is mainly to practice mind to be calm by fixing mind on a sense object. Before training mind to be mindful and conscious, we have to understand the meaning of sati. Sati is mindfulness. In this regard, to train mind to be mindful is to train mind to think of the sense object which is the object of meditation. In concentration meditation, we concentrate mind on the one sense object. For example, mindfulness on breathing. We train mind to be mindful only of inhalation, exhalation continuously. We have to train mind till mind manages to realize the breathing. This is one means to cultivate mindfulness and consciousness in mind. What can indicate that mind is mindful is the ability to realize breathing. Sampajana means consciousness. Therefore, when we train mind to think of breathing, we have to be conscious of what we are doing. For example, we train mind to think of inhalation and exhalation. We have to be aware that we are training the mind to do so. This is called consciousness in every posture. That is to exercise to cultivate consciousness. On the contrary, if we train mind to be mindful of breathing only sometimes and discontinuously, it means that training is not perfect. Sometimes we realize the breathing, sometimes we do not. It is not a good training. All aforementioned is training mind to be mindful and conscious by mindfulness and on breathing, which is one means of concentration meditation. There are other sense objects apart from mindfulness on breathing, for example, kasina, mindfulness by gazing at any of 10 objects, viz. Earth, water, fire, air, blue, yellow, red, white, space, and light. Suppose we train the mind by gazing at red. When we start practicing, we gaze at red. We have to remember and always think of red. We train and think of red only and continuously. Remember by heart only red. If we forget to remember red or cannot remember it, we have to open the eyes to look at it and try to remember it till we succeed in doing so and sit, or stand, walk, or lie. With eyes closed, concentrating on red, in whatever posture we are, we have to always think of red. This is practicing concentration by gazing at red. If we could exercise all day, it would be great. If we cannot remember or remember only some, we have to gaze at red again and think of it again. We are to follow these steps throughout the practice by means of gazing at red. Thinking always of red is a means to train mind to develop mindfulness sati, and being aware all the time of what we are doing is to train mind to develop consciousness awareness, sampanjana. Sati means mindfulness, of sampanjana means consciousness awareness. Training mind to be mindful can be exercised by controlling mind to think of one object to perceive sense object we specify for practice. We have to train mind to remember and think of the specified object so we can think of the specified object. This is training mind to be mindful. Therefore, to train mind to be mindful, we have to keep on thinking of the specified object continuously till our mindfulness becomes perfect eventually. This is training mind to develop mindfulness by concentration meditation. Sampanjana means consciousness awareness. We can train mind to be conscious by being aware of what we are doing all the time. For example, we are training mind to be mindful. We have to be aware that we are training mind to develop mindfulness. The important thing for training mind to develop consciousness is that we have to understand clearly the meaning of consciousness so that we can practice correctly. To train mind to be conscious can be exercised by being aware of our feeling at every state of consciousness, sita. For example, when we are thinking, we have to be aware that we are thinking of something. When we are speaking or doing something, we have to be always aware that we are speaking or doing something. We have to be always conscious. This is training mind to cultivate perfect consciousness, which works in terms of concentration meditation. What enables us to be conscious is mindfully noting mind and matter at body door. 2. Training mind to be mindful and conscious by insight meditation. When insight when insight is mentioned, the first things we should know are mind and matter, because mind and matter are sense objects for insight meditation. If we do not practice mind by using mind and matter as sense objects, the practice is not called insight practice. Training mind to be mindful and conscious can be exercised by mindfully noting mind and matter, which arise and fall away at six sense doors. We can train mind to be mindful and conscious by four postures: standing, walking, sitting, and lying. For example, by sitting, when we start sitting to practice mind, we have to sit with our eyes closed and practice. Therefore, mind and matter, which enable us to cultivate mindfulness and consciousness, are mind and matter appearing at the body door. To train mind in terms of insight meditation is aimed to make mind mindful within the body only. Mind and matter through body doors means that we perceive through bodies such as cold, heat, softness, hardness, coarseness, and fineness. The feelings rise through the body organs when the body is touched by them. We have to train mind to develop mindfulness to be aware of sense objects of mind and matter arising at body doors. To realize what matter is what mind is. There are obvious feelings rising while practicing mind. To train mind to cultivate mindfulness, we have to train mind to be able to realize in time mind and matter which appear as obvious feelings at body organ during the practice. If we could train mind to realize mind and matter which arise and fall away continuously and not to escape from sense objects of mind and matter, it would be a very good job. Mind would develop mindfulness and consciousness because mind is pointed on one sense object of mind and matter during the practice. We have to understand the meaning of sati before we start the practice. Sati means mindfulness. To train mind to develop better mindfulness, we have to train mind to be mindful of what we specify. For instance, we train mind by insight meditation. We have to train mind by mindfully note mind and matter as sense doors all the time. We stop practicing each time, especially at body door. All that is mentioned herein is training mind to cultivate more effective and qualified mindfulness in Buddhism. On the contrary, if we cannot direct mind to realize mind and matter at sense doors, it means that our mental practice does not go well. Imperfect mindfulness will be developed accordingly. The best mental practice to develop mindfulness and consciousness is by insight meditation. By insight meditation, we direct mind to mainly realize sense objects of mind and matter appearing at body door. Doing so, mind will be conscious within the body continuously. This is to cultivate consciousness, sapajana, by insight meditation. Remarks. The way to train mind to cultivate mindfulness, sati, and the way to train mind to cultivate consciousness, sampajana, are somewhat alike in terms of insight meditation. Their meanings are different. When we want to train mind to develop mindfulness, we have to practice mind to be mindful or attentive. When we want to train mind to develop consciousness, we have to practice mind to be conscious or be aware of what we are doing. The meanings of sati and sampajana are very important, and we have to understand and remember them because they will help us understand how to practice mind to be mindful and conscious when we will obtain right result from the real practice. Another point we should know is that the Buddha taught us to know how to train mind so that we can train mind to be free from derangements. Mind with derangements is mind under the powers of defilements. The person with such a mind will mistake the truth of life and live a life according to the stream of defilements which are roots of unwholesomeness in mind. Therefore, to make mind free from derangements, we have to train mind to cultivate perfect mindfulness and consciousness so that we can realize the real truth of life. To conclude, the most effective technique to train mind to be mindful and conscious is that we have to know and understand clearly the meaning of mindfulness and consciousness, and have to be able to interpret correctly the profound meaning of mindfulness and consciousness. In addition, we need to have thorough knowledge and understanding about sense objects of mind and matter through sense doors, especially through body door. This will enable us to train mind in a correct and better way, according to the means to train mind. Please remember that the best and most effective way to train mind is to be mindful and conscious is by insight meditation according to Buddhism only.